welcome to your next episode of the East Kentucky Works podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Breeze.
And I am Jacelyn Kaiser. Jen, it is the first day of spring, so let's talk about it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's my favorite time of year,
Me
100%.
too. Me too. I was definitely having the winter blues, but I'm so
Mhm.
excited. It's been warm. It's still a little cold here and there, but it's been warm for the most part. I got a spring
Yeah,
break trip planned. I'm ready.
yes, yes, yes. I love the warm weather. So, like, this is like my sign of hope. Like when the daffodils spring up and the robins are out and all that stuff. Like, I feel like such an old lady saying that, but
Fun fact,
yeah,
daffodil is my favorite flower.
yay!
So,
Lilacs are mine. They're coming soon.
okay, those are a good one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love summer the best because I am, like, the type of person that I want it to be 100 degrees, like, I love that, I thrive in that environment, but spring's good, that's, like you said, giving hope, getting us
Hmm.
ready, getting us prepared, so
Yeah, yeah, and the mosquitoes aren't out yet, so, like, it's such a win.
absolutely.
Alright, so for those of you that, have tuned in, thanks for being here. This is gonna be an excellent episode for job seekers because we are talking about job fairs. Not only is it spring, but it's also job fair season. This for whatever reason, this seems to be the time of year when most employers are hiring, and so you're
Absolutely.
gonna see a lot of job fairs popping up all over the place, and we are here to set you up for massive success when you go to these job fairs. There are a lot of things that you need to think about before you go, while you're there, and then even a couple things that you can do after the job fair to really lock in your chances of nailing the job of your dreams. So, we are going to break all that down for you today. Let's just start, of course, with before the job fair. There's a lot of things that we need to think about. The first thing is once you know there's a job fair, start researching the companies. Most of the time on the advertisement for the job fair, they're going to show you what employers are there, and it's really smart to just go ahead and like Google each company, find out what their mission and values are, find out what openings they might have. A lot of times that's already posted on their website. Um, you know, check to see if this might be a good fit. The culture of a company is so important. I know that for myself when I was job searching, I didn't want just any job. Like it wasn't always just about the paycheck. It was also about, do I believe in this company? Do they do work that I would be proud to stand up for and that kind of thing. So do a little research.
Yes, absolutely. The next thing would definitely be to prepare your resume, and your Kentucky Career Center can help. A lot of our job fairs can even be at your Kentucky Career Center. Um, you got to make sure your resume is up to date, error free, and tailored to the types of roles you're targeting. A good thing about this is that, like I said, your Kentucky Career Center can help you. I just went to a job fair Friday to get some content, and there were two people that came in and they had worked with the Kentucky Career Center on their resume before, but didn't have a printer, couldn't get it to print, whatever the case may have been. And, those ladies, they went in their office, they printed it off, and they had their resumes ready for them to show at the tables of the employers that they wanted to see. And attract. They were doing on the spot interviews that day for some of the employers. So it was awesome that they could, just go there, email their resume to them and get that all printed out, not have to worry or stress about not having what they needed to have.
Hmm. Yeah, your resume is such an important part of getting a job, obviously. So, and if
Absolutely.
you don't have a resume, like before that career fair starts, get in contact with your local Kentucky Career Center because they can help you craft that resume. In fact, like if you went to the EKCEP.org website, you're going to see there's all kinds of workshops that people are having right now um, to help people write their resume. So no excuses, guys. Get a good, awesome resume built up and then make lots of copies and bring that to the job fair.
Yeah, that's
And
such a huge resource that you don't want to miss out on.
definitely. The next thing that we want you to think about is crafting an elevator pitch. And I don't know about you, but to me that feels a little nervy, right? Like that's like
Yeah, definitely
eek.
nervy. Definitely nervous about that.
But if you can practice a concise way to, just introduce yourself and highlight some of your skills and experience and just a sentence. I think elevator pitch is probably too strong of a word, but just come up with a way to introduce yourself, something that you can say when you walk up to a table that lets people know, like, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I have a lot of experience with computer skills and this and that, and I would love to know more about your company." Just start a conversation. Um, if you're introverted like I am, it can be really hard to, that the whole job fair situation can feel a little intimidating. You're walking into this big room and there's all these tables set up with different employers. Um, I went to a conference just yesterday and it was a similar situation. There were like halls of different tables set up, and I was walking through them trying to get to the registration table and thinking, like, I'm not going to stop at any of these tables. Now this was different because it was a conference and I didn't have to, like, I wasn't there to get a job. I already have a job. Um, but my instinct was like, "Mm-mm, not going down that lane," right?
Yeah.
And luckily this conference was very smart, and they set up a little contest. It was like, if you get a signature from each table, you could be draw in a drawing for to win some money. And so, I sat down at my table with my colleagues, and they're like, "You don't wanna win money?" And I was like, "Actually, yes, I do." And so I took my
Like,
little
who
card
wouldn't?
and I pitched myself at each table. Like, I didn't just hand them a card, shyly and say, "Would you sign this?" I put on, my big girl pants and was like, introduced myself, met each person from somebody from each table, and it was really cool. I met cool people. I made connections that are probably going to be important for my future. And so I'm really glad that I took I was brave and did the thing. And so in a job seeker's case, it's not like a little tiny gift card that you're going for. It's tens of thousands of dollars every year for the rest of your life plus benefits. Like, this
Yeah.
is your career on the line. So take that time to, do come up with something to say when you walk up to each table, and you don't have to go to every table. You're going to just go to the ones that you've already researched that are aligned with what you want to do for a living. So,
Yeah, and even like you said though before, if you want to go to every table, if you want to see your options, like it's not a bad thing. There are tons of employers at these job fairs, and you might go to a table that you really have no interest in, but you just kind of want to figure it out, and you might end up loving that. You might change your perspective. You might figure out, oh, actually, this is might be something I want to do. So having all those employers there, and kind of weighing out your options, going to places that you didn't think that you would like, but end up loving. That's important too, definitely.
mhm,
But the next thing with that is dress professionally. You don't want to come into these things with just, you know, shorts and t-shirt on. You kind of want to be a little
mhm,
bit professional, whether that's jeans and a nice shirt. If you're, in your business attire that's clean, well fitting, appropriate for the occasion. No matter what that is, just make sure that you're dressed as professionally as can be. And if you need attire and you have been working with your Kentucky Career Center, they can help you with that as well. So that's
mhm.
also awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no ripped jeans, like, I mean, I think if you were gonna wear jeans for a more casual, if you're looking for, I don't know, if you're in construction or welding or something, but I still wouldn't wear dirty jeans or ripped jeans. Like, I
Yeah.
wear your best pants, like, really put yourself forward, because you might be thinking, "Well, the job I'm gonna do doesn't have anything, how I dress doesn't matter at all."
Yeah.
But it
But first
your
impressions
first
are
impression.
huge.
Mhm.
Yep.
I was sitting with a workforce, coordinator yesterday, and I asked her, like, "What advice would you have?" And it was only 2 things. She said, "Dress to impress and bring a resume." So if you do those 2 things, you're, like, well on your way. But I thought it was interesting that of all the tips she could have given, like, that dressing well is important. It's gonna make an impact on the people that you're meeting.
For sure.
So, the next thing that we want you to think about is just preparing some questions. Just take a few minutes before you go in and have some thoughtful questions ready to ask recruiters. Like, just this helps to demonstrate interest in their company, because you're looking for a good culture fit and they're looking for a good culture fit too. So just show that you've thought about this and that you care a little bit.
Yes, for sure. That's super important. Another important thing. All these are important. I don't know why I
Yeah.
keep saying it like that, but plan your approach. So, like we were saying earlier, create a list of companies that you want to target. Most of the people on the advertisements, they have the list of companies. You can kind of go through, look at those, like we said before. But prioritize your visit, make it meaningful. Some of these job fairs are 10 to 2, some of them are 11 to 1. They're they can be fast paced, they can be longer, but really have an idea of where you want to go and who you want to talk to so that you can make meaningful connections and network as much as possible.
Mhm. Yeah. And then the last thing that we need to make sure that you do before the job fair starts is to pre-register. Some places require that, some do not. But of course, if they're saying here's a link to pre-register, please make sure you do that so that that might give employers a chance to kind of preview you and your information. It's going to set you up for success better. And with the job fairs that we're involved with here at EKCEP, there it's not always required to register, but there's always a contact information. So why not reach out to the person who's running that and introduce yourself and find out who's going to be there, find out what you can and see if you can get that ball rolling a little bit ahead of time.
Next is during the job fair. So during the job fair, one of the main things is to be confident, be enthusiastic. Like Jen was saying, she's an introvert. It's nerve wracking. I like to call myself an extrovert introvert. Like I can be outgoing, but sometimes I like get in my shell and I get nervous, especially when there's a lot of people around. If there's a lot of like important things going on, I feel like I'm a lot more shy than I am if I'm just, talking to someone like this. So, really maintain eye contact, smile, and have a positive attitude. You might be nervous, a little discouraged, not sure what you're wanting to do, but it is important to try to be as positive as possible. And, there's something out there for everyone, and there is an employer out there for everybody. So,
Yeah. And sometimes you can feel you don't necessarily feel confident, right? So I'm a little bit of an actress, like, and
make
so
it till you make
my
it.
exactly. Yeah. Think of somebody who does exude confidence that you admire, like channel your inner Elle Woods, like or whoever it
Yes.
is that you think is like, oh my gosh, that person has it going on. Maybe it's somebody in a movie or somebody in real life or a family member or a teacher, like channel that person in your mind, like, okay, how would so and so do it? And then put your shoulders back and smile and walk in and do your best that way.
Yeah, and just like we've talked about before in interviews, don't be afraid to, like, be at home and practice. Like, I would definitely sit in front of my mirror and be like, "Okay, if I'm going up to someone, this is what I'm gonna do." It might be good to, like, see yourself and see what you're saying and kinda go over it in your head so when you get there, you're not just like, my name is Jacelyn and la, 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 la." I could definitely see myself doing that, so
Hmm. Yeah. Engage in conversation. Um, you've already practiced what you're going to say, and that's going to make it so much easier. But you're not going to like walk in with your head down and just hand them your resume and hope that they're going to start the conversation.
yeah.
That's not the way.
Mm,
Um, so the next thing is collect business cards. So maybe you could possibly land interviews right on the spot at these things.
mhm.
But not always. Sometimes they take your information, but it'd be very smart of you to take their information. So if they have business cards or flyers or something on their table, go ahead and take that because we're going to tell you what you'll do with that afterwards.
Yes, for sure. And then take notes. Jot down key information about each company and the recruiters. Like we said, contact information, business cards, things that, you like about this company, things that you're not sure about. Because if you leave and you don't want to ask questions in the moment, there's sometimes a lot of people in here you can't really hear. You can go back, take that business card, reach out to them and ask them those questions that you couldn't really think of like in the moment.
Yeah. Or if if you're meeting a bunch of people at once and then you leave and you're like,
"Oh, I
Which
should
company
ask
was it
that.
that
Who
said
did
that?
this?" Yeah.
You mix things up, so just take notes. If you can bring, like, a little clipboard or a notepad or something and
Even if you do it in your phone, you know,
yeah.
that's
See, I'm old school. I'm so glad we have Jacelyn here who's a
That
little
notes app.
younger and savvier. Yes, take notes in your phone, that would be way cooler than my clipboard.
Hey, the clipboards are so cool. Maybe more the notepad, but
Oh my goodness, that's
definitely
funny.
both important.
Alright, so you've gone to the job fair, you've done your best at meeting all the people and being confident and introducing yourself. What do we do after the job fair?
Yeah, so I would follow up, you know, send thank you emails within 24 hours to kind of just express your interest and the gratitude for their time because you're taking time out of your day, but they're also taking time out of their day to speak with you.
Mhm.
I did this.
Especially if they've offered you an interview on the spot. If you interviewed with
Yes.
somebody, definitely 100% email them and thank them and tell them again, like, remind them why you were a good fit for that role.
Yeah, and
That
you might think
will
that's
make a big
dumb and
difference.
weird because at first, like, you know, when I was going through college and they were like, you know, make sure you email, I was like, I am not doing that. Like, they do not want to have an email from me, whatever. But when I was in Austin, Texas, and looking for jobs and getting interviews and things like that, I actually did send thank you note, and I think that did help me land a job while I was there. So definitely an important part.
I always do it when when I was in the job searching phases of my life, I always did. And now that, like, I'm on the other side of the hiring table, like, that's something that definitely can help a person stand out. It shows when you take the time to send that email after the fact, it shows, like, I really care. I really do want this job. Like, I am somebody that follows through. I am somebody who pays attention to details. It sends so many messages that you wouldn't even think of. So do it. Send the email.
Send the email. Don't be nervous. You got this. The next thing would be apply for open positions. Jen, you want to give us a little bit on that?
Yeah, so some companies may not interview, excuse me, on the spot. They may have just handed you an application or said, "Please go, make sure you apply on our website here." And so that's your job. Sit down and apply to anything that was even remotely a close match to what you want to do. Um, and here's another little caveat is a lot of times people we exclude as job seekers we can exclude ourselves thinking like, well, I didn't meet this qualification or this, don't do that to yourself. Like, give yourself credit and be confident. If probably nobody is gonna match 100% of the qualifications on a list. Like, when we send out a job description, like, this is our dream person, but most of the time, that dream person doesn't exist. There's gonna be places where you might be missing a skill or an experience, and that's okay. Apply anyway and just put your best foot forward.
Yes, and then with that, stay in touch. Continue to network with those recruiters and follow up with those companies. You know, stay in touch with their social medias, like their stuff. Stay informed about the new opportunities. You might not get that job that they had just put out, but the job market is always evolving and changing, and people are always putting out new job opportunities. So don't count yourself out if you didn't get that one and you still really like that company. There is always um, more options, more things going on, and
Mhm.
if you stay up to date, really keep putting your best foot forward, keep trucking, you know, you should eventually get that job and, you know.
Yeah, for sure. There was one time I applied for, a copywriting job and interviewed and did not get the job. And I still sent them like a thank you so much. If everything anything ever changes, or even if you just needed somebody part-time, like I could do this. And sure enough, 6 months later, they reached out to me and said, "Are you still willing to help? Because we need some extra hands." And I was like,
And
"Yeah."
that's great. Yes.
Yeah. So don't give up. Like a no doesn't mean never. It just means not right now. But yeah, stay in touch with the companies that you liked. And
Yes.
then
And
we have one last thing, and that is to just take some time to reflect and learn because um, no matter what happened, if it went well or if you feel like you messed something up or you're like totally like, man, why did I say that? That it's okay. Like, this is your time to just reflect and think, okay, in the future, what would I do differently? How could I have improved the way I approached this question, or how could I improve the way that I introduced myself to these people? So just take it all in stride. Every single one is a learning experience.
Yeah, and there's always job fairs happening and going on, and if you check our socials, we have a few going on that we'll talk about here in a little bit. So don't count yourself out just because you think you messed up on that one. There's more to go to. There's always something going on around here,
Yeah.
workshops, job fairs, everything. So don't be too nervous and keep going. You know, maybe you didn't find the right job at that job fair, but maybe you will at the next one. So
Mhm, mhm. And speaking of the fact that there's always job fairs going on, let's talk about, we have 4 that are about to happen right now as of the day that we're recording here, late
uh,
March.
March 20th.
Yeah, first day of spring. Okay. So, here in our 23 county area that we serve, um, we have 4 job fairs. Why could I not think of the word that we've been talking about this whole time? We
It
have 4
happens.
job fairs happening. The first one is gonna be March 26th. It's a Wednesday. This is for Owsley County, and it's at the Owsley, Public Library in Boonville, so March 26th from 1 to 4.
Perfect. Our next one will be April 8th. That's on a Tuesday. It is Harlan County, and it is at the Harlan County Public Library from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yep, and then the very next day, Wednesday, April 9th, we have in Pike County at the public library there in Pikeville, they have a hiring event happening from 10 to 3. And by the way, sometimes they call them hiring events instead of job fairs. It's pretty much the same thing, although I think that a hiring event means you're more likely to have on the spot interviews.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm,
And then we have one more on that same day, April 9th, that Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that one is at the Jackson County Cooperative Extension Conference Center. Mouthful.
mhm, mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
lots of
if
good
you
stuff
want,
going
if
on.
yeah, like check out ekcep.org/events. That's where we will showcase all of the good job fairs we have going on. Plus, you're going to see other workshops. Like there are so many opportunities out there. So we just strongly encourage you to take advantage of all the things we've got going on.
Yes, so that is all we have for you guys today. If you're looking for a job, want to advance your career, or if you're a business leader looking for skilled workers, EKCEP is here for you. You can find more information about EKCEP and all of our services at ekcep.org or visit your local Kentucky Career Center, and you'll find the links to everything we mentioned today in the show notes. But have a great day, Eastern Kentucky, and we'll see you on the next podcast.